June 27, 2017. Under guest, Kathy Fulton. You want to step up and, yes, ma'am, with the High School Rodeo Association.
I'm Kathy Fulton. For those of you who might not know me, I was a librarian in the Marshall County School System for 31 years and I'm retired, and I'm an avid horse person. Do lots of riding and all. I brought some friends with me. They are from the Kentucky High School Rodeo team. They've qualified all year to go to the finals in Kentucky. And 3 weeks ago, I was privileged enough to go with them, and they won some honors. I'd like for them to introduce themselves and tell you what they won.
Okay.
I'm Josie Powell. I won my 11th all-around title, it's been 3 weeks ago. That is like, you get points all year long, and then at the end, whoever has the most points gets the all-around title. I do 5 events. I breakaway, goat tie. Yeah, I tie a little baby goat. Everybody freaks out about that one. They all are like, no, the goat. I run barrels, poles, and I team rope, and he's my heeling partner. I rope the head, he catches the heels. We won the state and team roping, won breakaway, and I'm going out west in that. I will be going to college at Monticello, Arkansas on a rodeo scholarship.
Outstanding.
Last weekend, or the state weekend, I also won $1,500 worth of scholarships from 2 Memorial Scholarship Foundations. I was very blessed to receive that and very grateful for it. And this is my last shebang. Get to go out west, and we're going to try our best and see what gets done.
My name's Rylan Sutherland, and I steer wrestle, team rope, and calf rope. And I won all 3 at the state finals, and I won the all-around 2 for all year long.
Outstanding.
And both of them horses won Horse of the Year.
And I'm an upcoming senior, so.
You said you're an upcoming senior?
Yeah, I'll be senior next year.
You'll do it all again next
Yeah,
year.
all again, one more year.
My name is Marley Henson. I was a senior last year at Marshall County High School. I compete in 2 events, barrel racing and trap shooting. I am the back-to-back state champion in barrel racing. The only 2 years I high school rodeoed, I ended up winning both years. So that was a really big accomplishment for me. And then I also qualified in trap shooting, but I'm better at barrel racing, if I have to say so myself. I will be attending Murray State University, majoring in pre-pharmacy. So unlike Josie, I'm not gonna rodeo. I will plan to rodeo on the weekends, but I want to focus mainly on school, so this is my last hoorah, just like her. And I also won about $1,500 in scholarships and was the salutatorian candidate of my graduating class.
Outstanding. Now, Marcy, I got a question regarding trap shooting.
Yes.
What is the secret? Because I can't hit the broadside of a barn when it comes to trap shooting.
I just get lucky.
All right, well, I guess I'm not lucky because
I'm sure most of you saw the county paper, the 20th. They all made front page of the sports. As you know, Marshall County, all in general, is for all the youth and all their activities of what they're doing. But the school system and a lot of other people don't support rodeo. They support band and choir and football, basketball, soccer, whatever, all this. But rodeo is not in that league. And, you know, the school system supplies uniforms, traveling expenses, and all of that coaching experience. They have to get theirs on their own. I've been privileged to work with their parents and now with them, and we're going out west to Gillette, Wyoming to the national finals. This will be my 7th year to go as just a grandparent, I guess you'd say, because none of my children have gone. But we're going to be taking 4 horses, 5. You're sending one and taking one? Yeah. Okay, so we're gonna have 5 horses going. And that means at least staying over one night if we drive straight through.
right.
Probably 2 nights going and coming, because you have to get gas for the vehicles every 4 hours nearly, and you have to get your horses off to exercise them. That means feed, time, water, lodging. Of course, you have to find a place that they'll keep your horses. So we have to find farms and all. And what we're here asking for is a donation for traveling expenses. We've had some of the other businesses up. The co-op has been gracious enough to give us feed and shavings and buckets and, you know, the everyday things. But we're needing some traveling money.
Did you say that the school doesn't
The
have,
school does not sponsor rodeo at all. School system does not.
And it's a school, obviously it's a state, so it is a school event.
Yeah. We have to have passing grades, and as she said, she was candidate for valedictorian, salutatorian.
Auditorium.
So we have to have your passing grades, but the school does not sponsor anything. We're all, you gotta have a truck, trailer, the horses,
yes.
the training for the horses, the training for them and all the equipment, plus the gas to haul all those. So it's all on the parents and grandparents and whoever they can get donations from. So that's what we're asking. We're leaving the 12th. We'll be gone a week and a half because it takes a couple days to get there, at least. So that's what we're asking for.
And where out west, did you say?
Gillette, Wyoming.
Gillette, Wyoming.
Northeast corner, long way.
And how many, I'm curious, because how many schools are participating?
I've been out there and worked, and you can work the gates for them, not
Right.
taking money, but as the contestants come in, you can bring in one parent, chaperone, whatever. So I checked them off. That was just a minor thing, but there are people from Canada, Hawaii flies in, and all of the 50 states. I mean, all of them. The year I worked, it's a very organized group. It's real kid-friendly, family-oriented. One of the years I worked, manners. Manners is number one on their list. We say the Pledge of Allegiance. We have the National Anthem for America, for Hawaii, and for Canada at the beginning of every rodeo. And we have a prayer. I mean, it's very family-oriented. And the year I worked, there was a young man that came in 2 or 3 times and checked in, and his helper was with him. One day, the helper was late, and I didn't know if it's his dad or whatever. So he checked in, went on in, and I checked his name off, no big deal. Well, then the parent or adult came by. I've got to get in and see them. Then you have to call them or make arrangements. No one is behind the chutes with all the activity. He got very irate at me because I wouldn't let him. I said, look, I'm just volunteering. I'm just marking this off. He came back a second time, and it would have been like calling the deputies out to have stopped him, and he went in. That was one night. That night after the rodeo, he happened to be from Canada. They called them all in, and if that man hadn't come back and apologized to me the next morning, they were going to throw Canada out. That's how serious they take manners and courtesy and all that. So it's a very organized and very, very well, big thing. The main thing, I don't know if you know, my dad's Reed Conder, and I told him when I came back, I said, I have never been anywhere that was so huge and there wasn't a basketball court. There's an indoor skating rink, and there's all this horse stuff. It's called the Complex, and it is busy 51 weekends out of the year with gun shows and camping stuff and all of this. And it's a very, very big place. It's a very big honor to be able to go. So we just need a little traveling money.
Do you know how much you need?
Over how much you can allot. You can see there's 3 of our representatives from Marshall County representing Kentucky.
Okay.
I mean, you figure up how much money it's gonna take, and whatever you all can set aside, we're gonna split between the 3 of them, and
And y'all are leaving, does the event
12th.
start July 12th, or is that
it
when
will
y'all
start Saturday night? Yes. Yeah, we're leaving Wednesday to get out there, hoping there's no flat tires and accidents and horses to get sick and whatever.
Right.
So,
All right. Well, we have got, I know we've got the grant application. Y'all have any questions for Kathy? We've got the grant application for nonprofit organizations, then we also have organizations that have an economic impact in the community. There were dollars that were budgeted over for requests like this throughout the fiscal year, but that was for next fiscal year, which I guess the event is in July. So you've heard Ms. Fulton. Is there any questions?
I have no problem with it whatsoever. We just need to come up with a dollar amount.
You've got, what's the difference on that?
We have in that line item in this fiscal year, service group contributions has $750 left in that line item. That's this fiscal year.
If that's the case, I would make a motion that we use that 750 for the rodeo.
Second.
Yeah, because we're not going to be meeting again for the next fiscal year. All right, is that, okay, well, great. And good luck on the event. Are you confident that you're going to win your events? You should be, yeah. All right, we hope to hear back from you when you come back. Yes. All right, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Good luck.
Thank you.
Yes. Under old business, approve the minutes for June 20th meeting.
Motion to approve the minutes from the June 20 meeting, Judge.
Second.
Those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. We got the annual bid under old business. The last thing, there were some questions as far as the salt. And there should be got the bid, but then there is a letter that Compass Minerals sent us. And I talked to Jeff, and basically with a bid they can amend, we can basically negotiate with them because there was only one bid. You can see the three listed items that they added in their request. The county agrees to purchase 80% of the base bid amount of 1,150 tons, and CMP agrees to provide up to 100% of the bid quantity. The county agrees to take delivery of the 80% minimum on or before March 31st, 2018. Please understand that CMP is unable to carry over inventory at our depot. Contract expires on March 31st, 2018. Now, I know
That's the normal, I mean, that's language that's been in those bids before.
I agree with everything except the 1,150 tons.
y'all are packed.
We only budgeted for 500 ton this year,
Okay,
so I wouldn't want to go
Make
over
it
that.
500.
okay. Why do they,
I don't know, I don't know where they come up with that figure, but
That what we bought last time?
Yeah. The road department's,
we're full
Full.
right
No,
now.
this
Right now.
1150 didn't come from us.
no.
I talked to a representative from Compass earlier, or late last week. He said, well, this language that they typically put in it, and for some reason they didn't include it in the bid, so then they sent this letter, and I guess they came up with the 1150.
okay, but if they would change that to 500, then it would meet.
Right.
Only thing about it, we just need to be sure we're aware, there should be no problem with that, the way they bring that up here, actually, if they think, that's not a barge load even at that.
Right.
So they're splitting up a barge load anyway, so whether it's 1,100 or 500, it shouldn't matter, from a logistics standpoint. But, we just need to make sure if we need to use it, and it gets to be close to winter, you may not be able to get it. You just need to make sure we're aware of that, because that's certainly a possibility.
Right, yeah, we're totally full right now anyway, so it would take a couple of snows before we could even,
That would
Consider
really almost,
putting it back
like I
in the
said,
barn.
just 500, the full barn would be just about enough to do any normal winter,
yes,
wouldn't it?
Yeah.
If we had anything really in excess.
right.
And I think the brine tank is full as well. What was that, 25 tons? How many tons to get that, get it
To fill the brine tanks, it's like 56 tons.
56?
What about,
both of
what
them.
about the salt bin? Isn't that like 2,500 tons or something?
Yeah, we really don't need to put more than 2,000 in there, but, we have put more in there. It's been up,
So that
Further than it needs to be.
500 tons, based on this, and that's standard operating procedure, the way I understand, that's the way it's been last year, and that's in their contract, they just didn't put it in there. Just a little disillusioned where they came up with the 1,500 or 1,150 tons.
Did we contact them and ask them about that, or
After
are
they
they
sent-
willing to change it?
We haven't been in contact with them after they sent this letter.
Okay.
Yeah, the bid, we sent the bids out and they bid, and
I-
they left that out in their bid.
I
I
guess.
know, I mean, we've discussed that, because they always talk about having to, we have to take at least 80% and da-da-da-da-da.
The other question too is we included, well, Calvert City was included in this bid as well, so I'm not sure if they're assuming that they're gonna put a tonnage on the city of Calvert as well, or this includes that. So that's the conversation we'll have to have with their
Okay.
representative.
Last
Okay,
year
well,
it
maybe is that-
included it.
Was that?
Included it.
Was that us and Calvert together?
Yeah, last year that's what we
But I
did.
mean, is that number what Calvert requested?
No, Calvert is full right now also, so.
What did they request?
Brad wasn't sure. I talked to him this morning, and he said he wasn't sure because they were totally full right now. He'd have to talk to John and Lynn and see how much they
So
wanted
that
to.
500 is just
estimate.
our need,
Well,
anticipated need.
Calvert and Benton, Calvert
it would
and the
cover
road
Calvert
department.
too, because like I said, we've probably got at least 2,500 ton right now.
Think, I mean, we're gonna be too late if the next court meeting, the 18th, if we contact them and find out if they'll do this 500,
Timeline's fine.
Yeah, I mean, no, there's nothing magical about doing, I mean, you're in process of working on this, and if it carries over to the beginning of the fiscal year, you're still okay.
They
You do your
carry
bids
about-
anytime.
they carry about 1,500 tons on a barge, and they unload it over it, if it's like it's always been, they unload it at Metropolis, and we could go get it, or they could deliver it, whatever, but, I mean, they offload it there in Pilot, and, whether they agree to this or not, but they can take whatever amount out of there they want to. I mean, you know, it's not any magical number, but, you know, so.
We'll reach out. We haven't heard from Calvert, so we'll reach out to Calvert, and we can make sure that whatever their concerns are, because I'm sure they got concerns
Just
too.
For clarification, when we talk back to them, we're gonna include our 500 plus what Calvert's gonna include?
Depending on what Calvert wants, but if they're just wanting like 100 tons or something, I think the 500, it can come off of the 500,
So
as full as we are right
Because
now.
you could go ahead and approve if for them to sign if.
They agree that
give
500.
That way he could get it over with quicker, if they agree.
I would go ahead and make that motion, and if they'll change this to 500 and it's what we want, then I would move that we go ahead and allow the judge to sign the contract with them.
Second that motion.
I think in that motion too, we need to be specific, because on the delivery, there were two on the bid. We pick it up or they deliver, and for $2.98 additional ton, that is a
Want it
steal.
delivered.
Yeah,
That's,
All right.
it's this fiscal year was about $108 to send a driver and a dump truck.
My motion would include the delivery rate,
That puts it up to what a ton? About $3 more or something?
63.90,
63 something.
63.90.
63.90. Okay, a ton delivered.
And this is Chilean salt, isn't it?
Is it? We don't like
Let's see, we
that.
got a first and a second.
work.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. And then we've got the bid for the metal building at the road department. Roy had looked at it, but we had adjourned before, so I think he said everything looked good.
Yeah, Glenn Harris Construction, I believe, was the cheapest bid, and we didn't see any issues with it.
So we just need a motion on it.
And that's no problem. The question, I guess, that they talked about meeting the building code, is that an issue or not an issue out there?
Yeah, we have to meet the building code, but I think they had put that in their bids at the bottom.
I didn't realize that was optional.
Everybody has to meet the building.
That's what the guy from the confusion was. You weren't here, Wendy, but the confusion was, or our confusion was, and Darnell Steele, Chris Darnell stated that the specs did not.
There was
they
one
bid the
item or
specs,
something
but the
he's
specs
concerned
did
about.
not meet the building code. So he gave us a price with that and without. And are we accepting bids apples to apples then? Did the
Yes.
other?
The others were notified after it had been brought to our attention, the ones that were bidding on it, and they bid it that way also.
Okay, so this bid from Glenn Harris is
Yes.
it meets the Kentucky Building Code.
Yeah.
Okay, I'd move that we approve and accept that bid.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
That's Harris,
Ordinance,
Glenn Harris.
Glenn Harris.
Is that what I said or not?
Ordinance,
You didn't say, I was just
Okay,
making
sorry.
sure.
Ordinance 2017-07, alcohol beverage control amendment, second reading.
All right. This is an ordinance amending ordinance number 2015-05 entitled Ordinance Regulating the Sale and Consumption of Alcoholic Beverages in Marshall County, Kentucky. Whereas the Kentucky General Assembly has made extensive changes to statutes regulating the sales of alcoholic beverages in wet territories, whereas Marshall County Fiscal Court feels it necessary to add a specific regulation concerning the issuance of quota retail drink licenses. Now therefore be it ordained by the Fiscal Court of Marshall County that ordinance number 2015-05 is hereby amended as follows. 1039.039, conditions, prohibitions, and restrictions. T, section. Pursuant to KRS 243.2302, quota retail drink licenses shall not be issued in any areas or localities subject to the authority of the Marshall County Fiscal Court. This decision is made in part due to the lack of comprehensive zoning which would be needed to adequately control the location of such establishments. 10.045, signs and advertising. Unless expressly permitted by state statute or regulation, the new section A, old section C, it shall be unlawful for any person holding any license under this chapter to give away or offer to give away anything tangible value as a premium or prize or for any other purpose in connection with the sale of alcoholic beverages. B, old section D, any advertising by any licensee under this chapter shall be in compliance with this chapter, KRS 244.130, and any regulation promulgated pursuant to KRS 244.130. C, no license shall publish or display advertising that is false or misleading, nor shall any licensee publish or display advertising that implies that consumption of alcoholic beverages is fashionable or the accepted course of behavior, or advertising that contains any statement, picture, or illustration implying that the consumption of alcoholic beverages enhances athletic prowess, whether or not any known athlete is depicted or referred to, nor shall any licensee publish or display advertising that encourages the intoxication by referring to the intoxicating effects of alcohol, or the use of terms such as high test, high proof, or extra strong, or depicting activities that tend to encourage excessive consumption. First reading was held June 20th, 2017. This is the second reading this 27th day of June, 2017.
This is basically the state saying that we can opt in or opt out, and we're choosing to opt out.
Move that we adopt.
And then on to discuss, I mean, also from the state, I guess, you may see changes to signage. Is that correct? The signs, isn't that part of this? That the
Yeah.
signage can be changed now, and we had that in there, that there was some
Right.
flashing signs and that sort of thing were not allowed, but now the state statute allows them.
Right.
And there's
And
not
that's,
really
there
much we can
wasn't
do
an
about it.
opt-out
Right.
provision in that.
I just wanted people to understand that they may see changes around these
I
establishments.
think there was wasn't there a 2014 Supreme Court ruling on that?
Okay?
We don't have any control
We
over
don't have
that.
any control over it. I'll second that motion.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Old Business Local Board of Assessment Appeals Board appointment. The Fiscal Court has that appointment. Do y'all have a name?
I would like to recommend John King to the PVA's Appeal Board. John is a financial advisor with Edward Jones and Devils in Real Estate. And as my conversation with Tony Henson, about the qualifications, he said Kip Mathis is getting off, and he commended him for his years of service and suggested that it'd be very helpful if the appointee had legal experience or real estate experience or financial experience, and John has 2 of the 3, so I would like to recommend John King for the appeals board.
That's a motion, I'll second that motion.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Jeff, you got the Marshall County Exceptional Center Contract Employee Agreement.
Yes. This agreement is hereby entered into this blank day of blank 2017 by and between the Marshall County Fiscal Court, hereinafter MCFC, Marshall County Exceptional Center, hereinafter MCEC, hereinafter, and Clint Smith, hereinafter Smith. MCFC has certain employees that are assigned to the, I'm going to say the whole word, Marshall County Exceptional Center. Marshall County Exceptional Center will disassociate with Marshall County Fiscal Court on July 1st, 2017. Any payroll will be taken over by Marshall County Exceptional Center with all payroll will be taken over by Marshall County Exceptional Center with one exception. Smith shall continue as employee at will for Marshall County Fiscal Court until October 31st, 2017. Marshall County Exceptional Center will reimburse the cost for same 100%. Smith will continue with his duties for Marshall County Exceptional Center. As of October 31st, 2017, Smith will no longer be employed by the Marshall County Fiscal Court. During the time period of this agreement, Smith shall continue to receive the benefits he has been receiving prior thereto. Smith shall be supervised by a designee named by Marshall County Judge Executive Kevin Neal, and that is set for the signatures of the judge, the director at the Exceptional Center, and Clint Smith.
Questions?
Motion to approve that agreement.
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Next, under old business, is lease agreement for county-owned buildings.
Yes, I have a lease agreement. First, well, let's just take the problem one off first. In working on this for the Aurora property with WACPAC, there appears to not be a deed to the county. I remembered years ago working on that, I thought that the deed had transferred, but it's kind of a complicated situation, and I will have to follow up on that some more in order to complete that transaction. But I do have lease agreements, one for the hardened senior citizens, where the court's granting them a one-year lease, and they're responsible for continuing to act in furtherance of their public purpose as they proposed in their grant application. They will be responsible for their utilities, and if they want to make any alterations, it's with your permission. The basic repairs and maintenance, the fiscal court would be responsible for the structural portions, and those are major repairs or maintenance. Sublease, no sublease unless it's by agreement. If there's a destruction, it takes the property outside their ability to use it. They can walk away from the lease. They are responsible for insuring any personal property they have and carrying an amount of liability insurance, which I would recommend $1 million on that. As far as the premises itself, it would be your fiscal court's property, and therefore you would insure that. And there's cross waivers of subrogation in regard to any negligence or contributory negligence by either party shall be used for legal uses only. If there's a portion of this agreement that is determined to be invalid, then it would be severed from this agreement. And And that is the same terms, those are the same terms for Marcella's Kitchen, for the senior citizens portion of the Hardin Community Building. And then I have the similar terms for the suites here in the courthouse. One is for for West Kentucky Allied Services, one is for CASA, and one is for Merriman House.
Let me take these here. Do we want, when you say they got a responsible for utilities, do we need to change those over to their name or just pay the county for the utility costs?
Let me look back. It's either, whatever your option is.
Okay, well, I mean, we'll do either one, but I hate to see the county lose control of that, but it's up to y'all. However you want to do it, we'll do it. I think if we change them over, then won't the county have to prompt, the utility companies to make that change, or is that not right? I believe they have to.
Unless they take this lease agreement.
One of the things we did too is we put it's renewable 1 year, so every year.
No,
we
it's
have
not
to-
renewable. It would be part of your, you can do it that way, but this is drafted, it's for 1 year, and then as part of your budget process next year and the grant applications, you can renew it. But it's a 1-year lease.
Yes, and the reason why we did that is because we had a lease, and if it's just a lease and we don't go back and view it, we identified that in some instances, the lease wasn't being followed, and there was property damage to our county properties, and having it where we review it regardless, every year it's reviewed, we can actually check on those properties and make sure that whoever's leasing the properties, which are county properties, that they're doing exactly what is stated out in the lease.
I don't have any problem with that. I guess we need to know if we've got to change the utilities over. That's the first thing we need to know. And if that's the case, we got to do it by the 1st of July. If we don't, then if you'll send us the bill, we'll pay the county for it, however, whatever works. I just hate to see the county not see the utility bills and see that they're paid for certain.
Is that possible?
On all the
Are you putting
buildings.
that
I
in the
mean
form of
that,
motion?
well, I mean that for all the buildings. I don't mean just Hardin, but are they gonna, what do we need to do? I'd prefer we keep those utility bills coming to us and let us pay, but it may cause the treasurer heartburn. I don't know.
I think
Bills are coming to us now.
Yes.
I think something to think about too is the bills coming to us, the leasees, they don't realize, actually, they didn't even know what the cost was.
Well, they will now because they'll be paying them.
And
Right.
Either way, they're gonna pay them. I just trying to avoid switching it all over and at some point possibly switching it all back and, the county losing.
I don't think it's a big, it's really not that
Well,
hard
I mean,
to.
whatever, it'll be, I'm sure there's deposits that have to be put down, and so, anyway. I just need to know what the court thinks, how we want to proceed, because we'll have to do that here pretty quickly. Since I'm involved in that, I wasn't gonna make a motion, I just want to know what everybody prefers.
Is there 2 meters down at the
I think, my understanding is there's a meter for the,
big part and then
right,
that's, okay.
and there's a meter for the seniors, yes.
That portion is being addressed with a management agreement with the city of Hardin. And
The other thing about that county facility is that the monies that were coming in, that was a county facility that we weren't managing, and the funds that were coming in were not coming into the general fund. We've got to clean that up. I mean, it's one thing to put out a lease. I mean, it's our responsibility to make sure that we make sure if this is a county facility, then it's our responsibility to make sure that we know what's going on in the buildings, we manage it, and that in some cases, there was nothing, no documentation. When the auditors come in, it makes it a lot easier when we have everything documented and we can lay everything out and say, here's the money's
Yeah,
coming in.
understood.
Here's the relationship that we have with these organizations, the best that we can, to make it transparent as possible, not only for us, but the taxpayers. It should be our goal.
Those funds were, I don't know exactly, I agree that I don't know exactly how much. I know at the time, it was my understanding it was a request that Hardin manage that scheduling of that building. And then that it was agreed that they could donate or whatever that money back to the senior citizens there in the building. But the seniors, I don't think have anything to do with it, but Hardin's mayor and some of the council, I think, does the scheduling. That was the agreement, and probably was just a verbal agreement at that time. So.
And that's, I mean, that's the concern moving forward, is there's no documentation. And you've got, it's anywhere from $1,500 to $2,000 annually.
Something like that.
When the county is paying the bills. I think we just got a bill recently for a set of keys being changed, so the keys, the locks on our building were changed, and we didn't even know about it. So, I mean, there's a lot of things that we need to, if we're gonna manage our county facilities, we need to manage them or set up an agreement with Hardin to manage it to where we have it documented. I think this is gonna clear that up. I know verbal agreements with auditors. I think we've got one with the Children's Art Center as well that we got to clean up. Verbal agreements with auditors, as you know, it doesn't go over very well. So is there the facility in Aurora, the park, we've got to find out the ownership of that?
I know, I mean, there's a deed reflecting that, and I remember addressing some of those issues years ago, and I thought that was, but there's apparently no deed recorded after that, so that's what we're gonna track down.
So the only deed we have is
1 to,
1 and 92, and
Yep.
we're not the owners.
Right. And I don't think you ought to, I wouldn't make any more improvements
Until we find out, yeah. Any of the other agreements y'all have questions about?
And the finish up on the facility, suite agreements with those three last parties, they're for 1 year as well, and similar terms for them to occupy those.
Would you read the names of those?
Those are the West Kentucky Allied Services, CASA, and Merriman House.
Is there any questions? We would need a motion on these agreements other than the Aurora agreement, because we're still looking on for clearing up the deed on that.
Did we ever decide about the utility bills?
Still come to the fiscal court. Is that what we said?
Thought we were gonna switch them over to the tenant.
What's in the agreement?
It just says they pay them. It doesn't say whether or not we get them or they get them. They're responsible.
Cleaning up, I would think you do one way or the other. identify which way you're going in that document. That's left to interpretation if you don't.
That's an
That's what
option
Bob
you
was
offer.
suggesting, I think.
That was my suggestion. Like I said, I'm on the board down there.
I have no problem with that.
Follow that, put a motion.
So we necessarily wouldn't switch to the bill over to their name, just we'd receive it and then forward it on to the entity.
Yeah, and if there's a delay or there's any problem with the payment, we would get the notice.
Okay.
Right.
I have no problem with that.
I'll make that a motion.
Making a motion on,
The Hardin Senior Citizens.
Well, all the buildings that way, yeah.
all right, in the Aurora, that motion does not include the Aurora agreement?
Not at this
No.
point, no.
Okay. So we should state that in the motion. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Old business, road department, new hire, part-time. Do you want to tell them the,
Yeah, we had one of the full-time positions filled by J.D. Draffin. Jonathan Paul had declined, so I filled it with J.D. Draffin. He's our part-time employee right now that is following the mowers, so that'll leave another part-time position open.
JD went to full-time, right?
J.D. will go to full-time July 1st, yes.
You just need a motion to hire a new temporary,
Yeah,
Follow the mowers.
part-time.
yes.
Make that motion.
Second.
hang on. This was, Wendy was supposed to read this, but I guess she didn't get it. We're going to have some consistency on how we do this. Basically, she would recommend to hire as a part-time or hire full-time J.D. Draffin to work at the road department as a, what's his official position going to be?
Probably a mower. He'll be
Mower.
driving a tractor.
With a rate of pay, do we know the rate of pay?
17
17, and begin work on July 1?
1st. Mhm.
Okay. So we need a motion. I think, was there a motion for JD's hire?
Motion to hire J.D. Draffin.
Second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. And then the part-time, the pays, the monies have already been budgeted, so the part-time, you just need to fill that position. And you've got the part-time name,
Terry Green.
Terry Green. Recommend Terry Green to work at the road department as a part-time laborer with a rate of pay
$12 an hour.
$12 an hour and begin work July 1st.
I amend my motion to include that information with Terry Green and his pay.
Second.
Second, all those in favor say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. And you'll find out when we go into executive session why we are putting this in place.
I'll complete both of those.
Okay. Sharkow Bridge update. I spoke to DLZ. Is Sean
Actually
here?
here to do an
Hey,
update,
I didn't see
yes.
you back here, Sean. Do you want to come on up? Good morning.
Morning. Thank you, Judge. Thank you to the court. Last time I was here was about 2 meetings ago. Gave you the update that as far as DLZ was concerned, as far as our design and things were done, ready, just waiting on approval from the court. Everything was good as far as the design goes. I don't think there were any issues once we presented it to Wendy and the judge. Our holdup at this point is permitting. Judge and I met about a week and a half ago. Wendy spoke with Shay on the phone last week. In fact, last week we had two of our project engineers come down to the site. Got to talk to Mr. Moore out on the site that day. There are two permits in particular that we were waiting on. One was a stream construction permit, which has come through now just as of last week, but we're still waiting on the water quality permit. That's the only thing standing in the way at this point, is waiting for all these agencies to get us the go-ahead. But as soon as we have that, I'm going to talk to Andy today about the local flood coordination permit. Shouldn't be any problem there. And then the only thing other than that permit is just making sure we've got the easements in place and we're ready to advertise. The reason that we haven't suggested going ahead and advertising it now is because we don't know what's going to happen with that permit. It normally doesn't even take quite this long. I'm afraid of how long it'll draw out. We need to make some phone calls to them. In fact, we're going to talk about that. I think it would be good if you all were to reach out. We also reach out to the Division of Water to make sure we get that permit pushed through. If we were to advertise, get a contractor in place, they were to begin construction, and then all of a sudden, first of all, if we don't have that permit in place, they can't start. Depending on how long it takes them to get it in place, all of a sudden the county is going to be liable for paying those contractors not do anything until they can get started. So I don't want the county to get in a position where they're having to throw good money at it, waiting for things to get started. It's pushing back later than I had hoped, but I would much rather we get started a little later than for a hiccup like that to cause bigger problems down the road. I think that we did have a conversation. I think Wendy may have talked with Fish and Wildlife. They've got no issues at this point. It's just that permit, really, and just making sure we've got the easements in place to go. You all have the advertisement that I gave you last time. It can go in the paper whenever, but again, as I said, that's just a matter of not getting us in a position where we're going to have a stoppage of work or anything like that if there's any hiccups caused by the permits.
Did Shay make it sound like that last permit requirement should possibly, I don't want to put a timeline on it.
That's the thing is we don't foresee any issue getting the permit. It's just a matter of time at this point.
Right.
I don't know if it's because, we're in kind of a peak time for this kind of work, so maybe they're just backlogged at Division of Water. That may be what's causing it.
Usually it's Fish and Wildlife that holds you up. If Fish and Wildlife signed off on it, then.
Fish and Wildlife seems to be fine as far as the conversation I think that Wendy had. She may
Yeah,
can elaborate.
I'd emailed them, and they emailed me right back probably within 2 days and said they didn't have an issue with it at all.
At this point, it's DOW. But no, there's nothing else holding us up. We just got to have that and make sure the easements are placed. Mr. Moore has made it pretty clear he's willing to work with the county, with the contractor, whoever that may end up being. He has been very willing to work with us throughout the process, especially these past couple of months since we started having conversations about the P&L project down the river and other things going on in the area. So don't foresee any issues there as long as we have everything in place. But from there, we'll get it advertised. You all have the specs, everything ready to go. It's just that last permit.
Yeah. I'd like to ask the court to where if we do get notification on that permit that we can move forward, that our next meeting is July 18th, that if we get that notification prior, that we start moving forward, because I know we're ready. The county's ready, DLZ's ready. If we get confirmation that Department of Water gives us the green light on that permit, then we'll go ahead and advertise.
Absolutely. I have no problem with letting the judge sign off on that if that permit comes in.
The general consensus is that we'll advertise for 2 weeks, local paper, advertise it. Again, you can advertise it wherever you wish, but local paper is sort of the minimum standard. 2 weeks is basically the minimum standard as well. Can get it out there, if you open the sealed bids in court on the 18th, or, if it were to move to the next, whenever. I would caution that you want to take a little time, maybe if you were to go, you want to take the time to consider those bids and maybe have us look at them before you make an official decision.
Yes.
Because we want to make sure that everything is equal, low bid isn't always necessarily the absolute best one, so we make sure you take time to kind of consider them before you make the decision, whether that means coming back for quick special meeting one day just to approve them, or, you know, however you want to handle that. But I would say that when you do open the bids, if you do it in court and not another special meeting, that you take a little time to look at them before you make the decision.
I agree.
Judge, you're asking just the court for permission if that document comes in between now and our next meeting to go ahead and start the advertising. I'll put that in
Correct.
form of a motion.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
As soon as I know something, you'll know something. As soon as we get that back, we'll let you know, because like I said, I'm with y'all. We want to get this thing advertised as quickly as possible. There's other concerns that we want to kind of match this up time-wise. We don't want to get too far into the fall with the construction. So as soon as we have it in hand, we'll reach out and get it advertised however y'all feel you want to do that.
Okay, perfect.
Okay.
Thank you, Sean.
Thank you.
Under old business, Veterans Van Fund closure, pay out the Veterans Van Support Group. We had discussed that for this fiscal year to get that closed out. We just need a motion.
Move that we approve that.
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion carries. New business, the DRA drawdown request. This is the Delta Regional Authority. You should have it in your packet. We just need a motion to accept.
Let me make sure that my memory serves me correctly. The 200 and, that was originally a $300,000 grant.
Right.
And we have contacted Delta Regional Authority, and even though that deadline was well past, we've informed them and we're okay. They have no problem with that.
Right, the PAD administers it. The original request was in 2013. It was a 300,000 DRA grant. We had about 224,000 in 2015. We basically put new management in place, moved forward, and we reached out to the PAD and DRA, and they approved. They wanted to get this project done just as much as we do, so the funds are available. I think we've been working with Jeremy at the PAD, and he had contacted, I forget the gentleman's name, he was here. Kent Morgan. And these are the drawdowns on the engineering for the lift stations.
Motion
For
we approve.
16,510.
I'm sorry.
This is for 16,510.
Yeah, there's we're still waiting. I don't know if you remember back in April, you all approved one for, I guess a little bit over 1,000. That still hasn't come in. So this is the second one that we're gonna submit, and then there's a third one that Jeremy's working on. He's talking to DRA about that first draw, and things have changed apparently in the format they want things in, and there's just been some miscommunication between the PAD and the DRA people. So hopefully we get that straightened out and get those, because this is for Rivercrest Engineering, their engineering services. So,
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
and I've been in touch with them, so they know what's going on too.
I'll move that we make that drawdown request.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Under new business, fiscal year 17-18 salary schedule.
We have already sent
This
those,
is
that
what we've
schedule.
had. Yeah, this is
Yeah.
what we've had, and it no changes.
It's what is reflected in the budget, or less. There are a handful that would have some rounding issue that we would transfer towards the end of the fiscal year, but that is all what was reflected in budget. If there was an additional raise, like Wendy and Roy are leaving their probationary year and going into a new year, so their amount is different than the 2.1. That anything that was discussed like that in budget workshops is reflected in this to match our budget worksheets. we've sent this to the department heads. All department heads have sent back and confirmed that those amounts look correct to them as well.
Motion to approve the salary schedule for beginning to July 1, 2017.
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. New business appropriations transfer.
This has several transfers to cover any of these end-of-the-year expenses and to get all appropriations covered fully throughout the end of this fiscal year. I do have one change that has come up this morning, that Ann Darnell has had to take some sick time, and this version here only reflects leaving $1.93 in that line item. Ann's sub, Dee Dee, is subbing for her during this sick time absence. So I'd like to increase the amount taken from health insurance, which was $1,085 for senior citizens, to $1,285, and increase senior citizens' county paid salary to $1,230 instead of $1,030, to allow Dee Dee to cover that Ann's absence during this week. The jail fund is using reserves to cover their overages. They had some equipment installed, which I believe is a heat and air unit, and some other equipment repaired, which was their hot carts where they deliver the meals to the inmates. And Roger did buy mattresses, about 100 mattresses, I think he did.
I would move that we make the budget appropriation transfers with the changes that Emily made.
Second that.
All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Intra-fund transfer.
I am asking to move from occupational tax to general fund, $310,000, to the road fund, $82,000, and to the 911 fund, $18,000. Those three amounts are hard numbers that I want to move to get our carryover up to where it should be. The jail fund, I'm asking for up to $252,000 to be moved. I'm gonna wait on that one a few days to see, we are still owed, I think it's the May payment from the jail, or from the state, for the state inmates. That should be around $145,000. If I do receive that this week, I will reduce that transfer by that amount. This is just get approval for up to that amount.
Motion to approve the intra-fund transfer.
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Approve payment of the bills.
Motion to pay the bills, Judge.
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. We'll need to go in executive session for personnel.
That's KRS 61.810.
Can you say that again, Jeff? 61,
KRS 61.810 sub F.
some F, okay. Just need a,
Approve going into executive session for personnel issues.
Second that.
all those in favor say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Basically, on the executive session personnel, the employment that was offered out of the IT department we had budgeted $40,000 for the employee, and the employee, or the individual was offered the position at $42,000. So we had looked at the monies that were budgeted, and there are monies in the healthcare portion of the employee that we can cover that $42,000. So that was discussed, and I think, do we need a motion on that?
So moved.
Second.
Second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. And that's the agenda.
As we talked about, I'd like to make a statement. I have sought legal advice as far as the statement and got the green light. But the statement reads, Jonathan Water Board member Barry Hill has asked me to inform the Fiscal Court that he no longer desires to serve another term. I'd like to thank Barry for his 24 years of service. That being said, at the July 18th meeting, I will officially rescind my vote cast on June the 20th and now cast my support for Jeff O'Brien as allowed by law to break the 2-2 deadlock. Just read that into the record as Barry asked me to.
Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.